What can you tell us about the relationship between the Giants and Odell Beckham Jr. as we currently sit here a couple weeks before the new league year? Jay?
Well, look, I'm a little surprised that there was such a backlash when I put it out. It was almost like, John Mara never said what he said last year. It was almost like they never had friction last year. It was almost like, there certainly was. And, I was asked for a bold prediction on The Athletic. I said, I think Odell Beckham will get traded this offseason. And, I wasn't reporting it would happen, but I looked at my little crystal ball, which is my own bald head, and said, I could see this happening. Nice. And look, there's a couple reasons. I know people look at it and go, oh, there's so much dead money. Look, I think when they brought in Pat Shermer last year, you got Saquon Barkley, and I was guilty of this also. We thought the Giants were, they're just a couple pieces away. They brought in Solder, and that's not the case. There's a reason why they had the second pick of the draft. And now you look at it, they have more holes going into this year than they did last year. Or maybe now we know what those holes really are. And you look around, you look and you say, what kind of bargaining chip are they going to have here? Really, the only thing is Odell. They need help. They need a quarterback. They need offensive linemen. They need pass rushers. They need linebackers. They need secondary. The only thing they have really is Odell. And last year, they thought about doing it. Last year, there's teams that were talking to him about trading him. At the trade deadline, teams called them. And, I think this year, if they're smart about it, they do look at it and they say, this is what we can get some value for to help build up our picks. But also, again, the hate that happened, don't forget about his interview with Lil Wayne last year. Like, this has not been the perfect marriage. Odell and the Giants have not been a sunny, drama-free. They've needed some marriage counseling the last couple of years.
Well, I guess then, Antonio Brown and the Steelers, their marriage counseling is broken down, and they appear to be headed for divorce. I'm going to put the tweet that Antonio Brown sent out. He sent out a whole bunch of tweets yesterday saying, hey, I've got 10 questions. You give me 10 questions, I'll give you the straight truth. And there was a tweet that was sent out in regards to what's going on with you and Big Ben. And he said Ben has an owner's mentality to call out players. In addition to all of that, went ahead and said that there was a lack of respect from. So where does this all go from here with him tweeting out a video, Jay, saying I'm out with 3 years left on his contract? How do you see this playing out?
So here's what AB needs to understand. These teams, they really judge you circus versus skill, right? So we all know about AB's skill. It's ridiculous. It's somewhat unmatched. But in order for AB to get the value that he wants, he has to look at circus versus skill, and he is just building his circus up. He needs to stop doing all this. He needs to bring the circus down. He needs to look at it and say, all right, I want every team out there to look at me just upon my skill to drive up my bargaining power. But because there's a circus that now surrounds it, even if there's one team that says, you know what, we don't want to deal with that circus, we're pulling out of it, that's one team too many. If I'm the player, I have to look and go, it's one team too many. I don't want that. I want to make sure I got 31 other teams. They're all vying for my love here, so that love could turn into some more green.
So does this, which happens first then, I guess? Odell and Antonio Brown? We're talking about.
I don't know.
What do you think? Crystal ball for me. How are you thinking?
I don't know for sure Odell will happen.
Obviously, the new league year is coming up, and that's usually when these things come up and pop. And it sure looks like, obviously Odell and the Giants could try and continue counseling and keep going. But it looks like this Browns and, obviously Antonio Brown and the Steelers is over. Certainly since he was liking some tweet.
I don't know. And here's the thing about AB, though. But again, the circus part. If enough teams say, we don't want the circus, and if AB wants a new contract, which is what it seems like, and a team says, because that's the whole thing. If you trade Odell, you don't have to give him a new contract. The team's getting him with the contract, bam. With AB, if he wants a new contract, then a team now has to value, okay, do we want to give up picks plus do a whole new contract for him? There's a lot there. They got to work together on that. That's a lot. And, I don't know the answer to that question because the Steelers certainly aren't going to say, okay, let's just get rid of him for a 4. They're not going to do that. Especially, look, Amari Cooper, he was a 1. Panned out well. both those players are viewed as better than Amari Cooper, right? So, you're going to go suddenly look to a team and say, okay, we want a 1+, and you're going to have to give a new contract for somebody who's just trashing our team. I think other teams are going to look at it and go, nah, you're just trying to unload him. It's like he's taking away his leverage, because every other team is going to look at it and say, you guys just don't want him back anyway. Just give him to us for a 3, and we'll take him off your hands. I think that's the strategy other teams are going to use. I know one team in particular has been, scared off a little bit by a team that was interested has been scared off by, all the noise right now.
Do you want to tell me which conference that team's in, Jay?
No, I can't do that.
It's my job to ask that.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.